What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wes. I'm a licensed realtor here in the state of Arizona and you're watching House Hunting with Wes Sutton, where I dive into all things real estate related, and better yet, I help educate you on buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Now in today's video, we're talking about going under contract, what this process is, how long it takes. Maybe you've heard terms like going under contract or opening escrow or being in escrows and you're wondering what it all means. That's what we're talking about today. I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to know about going under contract. Now, if you find this video helpful, I would love it if you press the like button, subscribe to my channel below for more helpful videos like this, and definitely share this out to any friends or family members that you know are buying a house right now, or anyone that you know who's thinking about buying a house in the near future. I'm super excited to get into today's video talking about the process of going under contract, so let's go to the show. Okay, so let's talk about going under contract or opening escrow. Now, you are officially under contract on the home that you're purchasing as soon as your offer is fully executed, and what that means is accepted by both parties. So maybe the seller accepted your initial offer that you sent them, or maybe there was a counter offer that went back and forth between you and the seller. But once both parties come to an agreement on the terms, now we are officially under contract. Now, you'll know how long this process is gonna be at the beginning, because whenever you place an offer, you're gonna indicate the close of escrow date, and you're gonna plan for about 30 to 45 days out from when that day is. So if you're writing an offer on the 1st of October, you're likely gonna set the close of escrow date for about 30 to 45 days out. So that would be about the last week of October or into the first or second week of November. Now we're gonna talk about why this process actually takes 30 to 45 days, and it can be a little bit quicker, but it can also be a little bit slower. So what's the first task once the offer has been accepted and we're officially under contract? The very first thing that we're gonna do is open escrow. And opening escrow is actually pretty simple. Essentially, it just means that you as the buyer are gonna go to the escrow company or the title agency and drop off the earnest deposit. Now, you don't actually have to go there in person if you don't want to. You can also simply just wire the funds from your banking account to their account. Now, this deposit or earnest money, which is also known as the good faith check, is the deposit that you're making as the buyer as soon as we have contract acceptance. Now, in most situations, this deposit is about 1% of the purchase price, but that can also vary too. And essentially, this deposit is gonna end up going towards your down payment on the home. And if you're doing a zero down loan, either a down payment assistance, or maybe you're using a VA loan where that's also can be a zero down loan, that money is just gonna go towards your closing cost, or it can be refunded back to you as the buyer whenever you close on the home. Now, if we go under contract outside of normal business hours, so if it's during the week after 5 p.m. or sometime on the weekend when the offer is officially accepted by both parties, that just means that we're going to deposit the earnest check with the title company the following business day. Next up is the inspection period. Now, this example is specific to the Arizona contract, and your state's contract may vary a little bit, so double check with your realtor on how your inspection period works. But in Arizona, the first 10 days of being under contract are your inspection period. And this will begin the first day after contract acceptance. So if the contract is accepted on a Monday, starting Tuesday is day one of your 10-day inspection period. So what are you gonna do? The first thing that you're gonna do in this inspection period is hire a home inspector to do a full inspection of the house. Now, pools are also pretty popular here in Arizona, so if the home has a pool, double check with the inspector to see if they're gonna do the pool inspection or if you're going to need to hire an outside pool inspector to do that portion of the inspection. So you're gonna wanna make sure that on day one, you're getting that inspection scheduled for hopefully day 4 or 5 of the inspection period. Now, this inspection likely won't take place for a couple of days, and the reason is because most home inspectors are actually scheduled out a few days in advance. So the goal would be that in the 10-day inspection period, you're hopefully getting the inspection completed on day 4 or 5 of the inspection period, and that's going to leave the last half of the inspection period, the last 5 or 6 days, to get secondary opinions if the home inspector recommends it. Now, the home inspector is going to do a full report of the property, and they're going to take a look at everything, including the roof, the AC, the plumbing, the structural integrity of the home. However, they're not licensed professionals when it comes to the roof. They're not a licensed roofer. They're not a licensed plumber. So it's likely that if they point out an issue, they're going to recommend that you get a secondary opinion on it if it's something that they're not qualified to assess. A good example of this would be if the home inspector is in the attic and maybe they notice a moisture stain and they think that there could potentially be an issue with the roof. They're likely going to recommend that you have a professional roof contractor out to get an estimate on what the repair would be and how much it's going to cost. So again, that's the first 10 days of being under contract, and you can ask for a longer inspection period, you can request a shorter inspection period, but the contract basically states that it's going to be 10 days unless you specifically ask for a different period. So that's the first 10 days. And now in Arizona, and this may be similar or different from where you are, but you do get the right to ask the seller to repair or remediate any of the issues that the home inspector found during this inspection. Now, if you ask for any repairs or any remediations to be made that the home inspector recommended, the seller is going to get 5 days to make a decision on if they do or don't want to do any of those repairs. And the reason that they get 5 days is to evaluate the repair. So maybe they want to have a contractor come out to get a second opinion on it or give them a bid or an estimate for how much it's going to cost. Now, once they come to their decision on whether or not they're going to agree to the repairs, if they decide that they're not going to do any of the repairs, you as the buyer now get an additional 5 days to make the final decision on if you want to stick with the home or if you want to cancel the contract. So if you look at the total time that the inspection period can last, it can be a total of 20 days. You as the buyer get the first 10 days to inspect the property, then the seller has 5 days to evaluate any repairs or requests that you've asked from them, and then you as the buyer get another 5 days if the seller decides not to make a repair to decide if you want to cancel the contract or go forward with buying the home. Now, it's highly unlikely that the inspection period is actually going to last the full 20 days, and I would say that in most situations it's closer to about 12 to 14, but we would definitely want to plan for worst case scenario and know that it could be the full 20. So the next thing that's going to happen while we're under contract is that your lender is going to order an appraisal. Now, the appraisal is what the bank uses to assess the value of the home. And they're going to use a similar process to appraise the home that we use as realtors whenever we set the price of a home to list it. They're going to look at like properties in a similar area or in the same neighborhood that have recently sold. Now, this process of ordering the appraisal, having the appraiser go out to the property to assess the value of the home, and then having that appraisal report returned back to the lender can actually take up to 2 weeks depending on the volume of work that the appraisals currently have. And this is another huge reason why we plan for being under contract for 30 to 45 days before you actually close on the home and get the keys. So you may be asking yourself, why doesn't this appraisal just take place at the same time as the inspection period? If it's going to last up to 2 weeks, we could just start that at the beginning and then have the report back around the same time that we're finishing up our inspection period. And the reason for this is because you as the buyer are responsible for paying for this appraisal. Now, the cost of an appraisal can range, but typically it's around $450 to $500. And certain lenders do things a little bit differently than others, but your lender may require you to pay for this appraisal up front, or they may front the cost of the appraisal and have you pay it at the end as part of your closing cost. Either way, this appraisal is still a cost that's assessed to you as the buyer. And if we order this appraisal up front during the inspection period and it gets completed prior to us finding out about a major roof repair that needs done, or maybe the AC unit needs replaced, and if the seller's not willing to do that repair, and if you're not willing to buy the house without them doing it, and you're gonna end up canceling on the home, well, now you're out of $350 home inspection, and you're also out of $500 appraisal. So the takeaway on this is that in most situations, we're gonna wait for the inspection period to end before we order the appraisal, because we wanna make sure that the house is in the condition that we think it is, or that we come to an agreement on any repairs that need to be made prior to getting this appraisal order. But if you want the loan process to be a little bit faster, or maybe you set a shorter close of escrow date, you can certainly order the appraisal at the beginning with the inspection period. You just run the risk of being out a home inspection and an appraisal if you end up canceling. Now, during the inspection period and while we're waiting for the appraisal report to come back, there's also a lot of paperwork and financials needed by your lender or the bank to process the loan. As your loan moves throughout the process, your lender is going to ask for additional information that the underwriter requires, and this could be verification of income, job verification, so on and so forth. Now, the lender can only process so much of the loan prior to receiving that appraisal report, and they're going to need an additional 5 to 7 days once they receive that report to finalize the loan and allow you to close on the home. So when we look at this process, it's easy to see why it can take up to 30 to 45 days for all of this to occur. And again, I use some worst case scenarios of an inspection period period lasting a full 20 days or an appraiser taking up to 2 weeks to get the report back to us. But it's good to know realistically how long it could actually take. And again, I've mentioned this a few times already, but I'm going off of the Arizona contract where I work. So definitely double check with your realtor, depending on the state that you're in, how these timelines may vary. But if you're in Arizona or you're relocating here from another state and you're looking for a realtor to help you buy or sell your next home, check out the link below to my website where you can find all my contact information. And if you like this video, please go ahead and press that like button, subscribe to my channel below for more videos like this, share this with your friends and family members who are purchasing a home right now or thinking about buying a house in the near future. And until next time, peace.